I have made a video in the past talking about, units you can use in festival battles that dominate the game, and some sleeper picks like Scatter Vegeta, the INT Super Saiyan Broly EZA, and Tech World Tournament Gotenks, and such of those units. But we've gotten so many units in the recent, Global Dokkan campaign, EZAs, and all that such, that I kind of want to look at some other options you guys should be using in your festival of battle runs. We've gotten units that have become very strong that help make these runs so much easier, so I want to give you guys assistance with this event, because I know so many of you guys have still not cleared this event yet, and no shame in that. I just understand it's a tedious, long, and hard event, so I want to give you guys the easiest time possible. The first unit that has been on the screen for the last 45 seconds is these TEQ Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. I know it's kind of interesting that this unit is on this list, but you gotta hear me out. One, this unit greatly stacks defense and raises attack on his 18 key. So, it allows him to actually be able to stack fairly quickly. Now, I know it's weird to say because you don't think that's the case, but you gotta remember something. He gets stats for every key orb that he gets, and then of course he has a multiplicative attack there, and then a multiplicative attack after for turn 5, and less than 58% HP. He has a lot of things going on for this unit when he's attacking at 18 key, and due to his vast amount of multiplicative attack, his very low amount of raising attack per turn actually stacks up much faster than you think, allowing him to hit some crazy numbers towards the end of festival battles. And the greatest thing is they gave this unit greatly raises defense when he's attacking, and then of course he has multiplicative defense as well on his 18 key and 12 key, and don't forget they get 10% attack and defense for every key orb he gets. So this guy is a stat warrior, and he's already generating around 9 or 10 just off of his base numbers. We're not even talking about with crazy amount of stacks. This guy can get up to 9 to 10 mil defense. Now imagine at the end of festival battles what this guy is looking at. I mean, this guy is straight up guarding against Super Gogeta at the end, so this guy absolutely destroys him, which is a crucial opponent at the end of these fights, and his damage output also helps completely obliterate that Gogeta as well. You could pop his active skill right when you get to Gogeta, and Gogeta will never see what is coming, and then you could save all of your big boy active skills for the end. Of course, you will need to use some of your active skills when you get to Gloria and Goku, but let's talk about one of those units that can absolutely shred up the Goku in Gloria phase. The unit I am referring to is the STR Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta. The good thing about these units is that they are already hitting ridiculously hard. Turn 1 on Rainbow, they're doing about 40 mil, on mine at 69%, they're about doing 32, 33, so they can hit some pretty high numbers. And not only that, with that being the case, it allows them to consistently be able to stack on their 18 key, just being able to get to some pretty high numbers by the time you get to the end of this fight, and then when you get to the Gloria phase, you can swap over to Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, launch that Father-Son Gal gun, and absolutely obliterate Glorio, to the extent that you actually might be able to kill Glorio with a Father-Son Gal gun. That's how powerful that attack can be towards the end of fights. And again, your goal is to pave the way for Vegito, for Super Vegito and Super Gogeta to get to the the Super Vegito at the end of the fight, in order for you to just absolutely obliterate them. You want to save those two for the very end, so if you're going to do something like that, you gotta make sure that Gloria, Daimaku, and the Super Gogeta are taken care of with using the minimal amount of active skills to do so. And then, of course, once you do so, Festival Battles is fairly easy from there. But again, this unit is very helpful, not only because does he absolutely destroy Glorio, but with his greatly raising attack every turn, he is constantly building his attack to ridiculous amounts where he can get pretty much to 100 mil by the time you get to these final fights. And again, you are not going to use the Vegito active most likely. You can if you want. I would probably recommend using the Father-Son Gal gun, since it will probably do a little more, and it would give you a higher stat boost and guard for pretty much the end of Festival of Battles. So it allows this Goku to shine a little bit more. But again, you are free to use the Vegito active skill, which can, in more scenarios than not, do more damage. It just depends. And if you want to experiment a little bit too, you could pop Vegito Blue on Glorio, dip out the app, and then try Father-Son Gal gun and compare damage and see what you like more, what fits the bill a little more for you. Yes, the Bataro counterattack, aka Vegito Blue, does give you permanent stats, but at the same time, you really do not need those permanent stats, because by the time you're launching either active skill, you're using it pretty much at the end of the fight. So it's the permanent stats are really not that important for this Goku. But with his crazy amount of damage and his greatly raising on attack and his dodging, which allows him to be able to handle all the bosses in Festival Battle, it makes him a pretty valuable option. Let's talk about his counterpart, though. Let's talk about the Vegeta and Trunks, the INT one, of course, the EZA. They have something in their kit that allows every unit to be a stacker, and that is on their 18 key. They raise all allies attack and defense by 5%. Such a minute number, but at the same time, you gotta remember, in Festival Battles especially, everybody is stacking. So if you're stacking with Vegeta, you're stacking with Gogeta, you're stacking with the Blues, you're stacking with, whoever you want, right? These Vegeta and Trunks are also giving them an additional 5% attack and defense every time they do their 18 key. So, and it may not be that crazy until you get to turn 50 and you've already done 25 18 key super attacks. That's an additional 100+% attack and defense to your allies that were not being gained from stacks. In other words, you're getting about another extra turn of stacking on every unit that is stacking, or for units that don't stack at all, they're getting their own set of stacks just because Vegeta and Trunks exist. Again, I know 5% is not the craziest thing in the world, but for units, for example, like we're going to talk about later in this video, AGL SSJ4 Gogeta, who definitely benefits from more stacks in this fight, could definitely benefit from just something like that. And, other units that maybe people don't talk about, like the Evolution Blue Vegeta that everyone hates, the STR one, who could get drastic benefits from having extra stats in Festival Battle, since his damage reduction rate actually does matter, because there's no locking or AoE bosses that can hurt him, so he does shine fairly well in Festival Battles, and thanks to Vegeta and Trunks, he can look even better. So this unit in themselves, of course, are we worried that they could die? And the answer is no. They also stack very quickly, because you also got to remember, they are stacking on their 18 key. They have the regular raise attack and defense, and of course, they give the extra 5% attack and defense from their own super attack effect. Not only that, but they already start at a pretty high level of defense, and they will always have 50% damage reduction and guard. So once, with all that post-super with some multiplicative effects and stuff, by the time you get to turn, they're really never going to take damage. By the time you get to like turn 40, they were around 4 to 5 million already, and you got to realize they're already raising their attack and defense every single time they super, and then they already have guard and damage reduction. And then if you save their active skill for long enough, they can just be able to tank everything anyways and protect the team from dying as well. They're a very valuable asset, but again, I can understand that you may not want to use this unit due to the fact that he will take away from other stacking units that may be more dominant overall than them, but I feel like they definitely should be mentioned because these guys are a very powerful unit in this kind of content due to their 18 key effect. Now, I'm going to throw an oddball out here, but I'm going to reason with you guys on why I like this unit. Now, if you could tell clearly, we're looking at units that came out during the Global Dokkan campaign, since there really hasn't been other units that I have not already talked about throughout, other previous videos, but I think these units that I'm talking about from the Global Dokkan campaign help make Festival Battles just so much easier due to their crazy active skills and effects and damage output. But the reason why I'm throwing out AGL SSJ4 Gogeta in this video is because you're like, well, wait a minute, he doesn't, he isn't able to stack, and he could struggle with normals at the end of these fights. Why are we bringing Gogeta in here? Now, here's two things. One, I just mentioned earlier that this Gogeta heavily benefits from the attack and defense stacks that he gets from, the 18 key attack. And with constant stacking, for example, by the time you get to turn 80, you will have 200% extra stack on attack and defense on Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, which allows him to look so much more impressive. And the thing with defensive stacking over attack stacking is, I don't really know the reasoning for it, but for some reason, defensive stacks just come so much faster than attack stats. And Gogeta definitely does not lack attack. You're not really stacking in hopes of his attack to look better. You're just stacking in hopes for his defensive levels to look even more impressive. And with just a mere 200%, he's going to be able to tank every normal that you will see in that fight. But even if you're worried about normals, you really shouldn't, because he's not going to take any damage until you get to Vegeta or Gogeta, and by then you can launch the Dragon Fist and just absolutely destroy Gogeta, destroy Vegeta, and do whatever you need to with the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. But the greatest thing about this unit is not even his damage, it's not even the fact that he couldn't get the buff from Vegeta and Trunks to be able to tank everything in there, but it's more so the fact that he doesn't need to stack. You see, the reason why that's so important is because you have 6 slots on your team, well 7 with a friend, right? You can't stack everybody and allow everyone to shine. That's why, for example, and again, I'm going to bring it up, the LR STR Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta is such a great unit in Festival of Battles. And I know a lot of people will be like, what the heck are you talking about? He can tank really well. He does not need stacks. To be elite, he has high levels of damage reduction, of course, that allows him to be an amazing tank. He does need help, of course, for example, the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and he does need a ton of orbs and some supers to be able to perform at that level, but what makes him great is he doesn't need stacks. Same thing with Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, but, you know, Gogeta's at a way more consistent level than Vegeta and does way more damage than Vegeta, is that, one, he doesn't need stacks to be elite. He's already tanky, he already does insane damage, and then on his active turn, he's going to do even more, which allows him to be such a premium unit to run on your Festival of Battle teams. And again, you don't need stacks. So you could prioritize your stacks on Vegeta and Gogeta in the Super Saiyan 4s and the Gods, or the Blues, you know, whoever you're running on your team. You don't have to sweat about rotating people out and I need stacks on this guy, I need stacks on this guy, or, oh no, I killed him too quickly and I didn't get a stack on this guy. Gogeta's like a closer, right? Okay, you got your stacker 1, you got your stacker 2, now I'm going to kill him in slot 3. Right? It just allows Gogeta to shine on your team, be a nice closer, and you don't have to worry about stacking, which kind of makes him a very valuable floater in Festival of Battles. Finally, we have LR STR Rose and Zamasu for the same reason that I brought with the Blues. They just have tons of damage output, and then of course on top of that, they greatly raise attack. And then Zamasu can look pretty impressive after all those attack stats at the end of fights. For example, if you're under the HP threshold 60%, in order for him to get that extra attack buff, he could do some insane damage. I mean, this is just Zamasu's already doing 160 mil plus in about 7 to 10 turn content under 60% HP. Just imagine the amount of offense levels this Zamasu can get after like 30 turns of attack stacking. This guy's going to be at 300, 400 mil attacking, while also having the ability to just drop the Fusion Zamasu active skill to just nuke anybody, Glorio, with his attack. Yes, he doesn't have the most spacious homes. You know, you're not going to run him on an extreme class team, of course, so you're really going to have to run him next to the Blues in order for him to shine. That's basically his only scenario where you're going to be able to run Rose. Well, the other issue is, of course, is like, well, he needs, you know, Future Saga or Extreme Class, so you do have to be careful on what teams you're building around him. If you're going to bring Rose into Festival of Battles, you do need some future allies, of course, in order for him to get his full kit, in order for him to be valuable. Now, Rose can struggle late in Festival of Battles because of his lack of tanking and his lack of dodge mechanic and stuff like that. You know, guard, damage reduction, and just a decent amount of defense is not going to get you through 24 mil supers at the end of fights. And again, Rose is not stacking defense. Even with Vegeta and Trunks stacks, he's just not there. Zamasu might have the ability to able to tank them all right, but even then he's only around 8 to 10 mil with guard, and that's really not enough to tank. So you're really kind of relying on everyone else around them to kill these final bosses, while also at the same time him doing a crap ton of damage towards the end of the festival. So he's kind of a glass cannon towards the end, but his damage levels can look impressive. But what do you guys think of the comments below? Have you guys used these units yet? I saw someone in my Discord channel use the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, which kind of motivated me to make this video. I want to talk about just some units that we've gotten recently that have some incredible value in festival battles that you guys need to be using and taking advantage of, because I know a lot of you guys have not completed it yet. I myself will not be going back in there. I've already got my no item run. I don't need to do anything else. I will stay away from that mode. It's just not worth the 3 hours of time to dedicate myself to just grinding away at that fight. But Again, I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys enjoy, let me know in the comments below. And again, if you guys enjoy the voice content, the first link in the description is to all my voice content, and the second one is to all of my Dokkan Battle content videos in general. So if you guys enjoy the content, if you want to consider watching more, click one of those links in the description below. It'll take you to one more or any more of these videos that you enjoy, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.